We are living in very strange times currently where a lot of things no longer make sense. And I look at this especially from an economic point of view. Let's look especially at the UK where I'm from. Lots of people are realising that doing the things that our parents did, our grandparents did, they're no longer working, and that if you do not keep up with time and speed, then you're going to be very much left behind. And it's an option. You can listen to this video, you can listen to people with a similar mindset, or you can ignore it and you will be left behind. So it's very important that you follow the actual news going on in the world and see what is actually happening, unfolding every single day, because time is moving very fast, things are changing very fast. And you've probably heard this a million times, it sounds very much you've heard it, but I don't think a lot of people are taking it on board and are still kind of living how their parents lived and doing the same kind of mentality of what, like, I'll get a job and then I'll work my way up and then I'll settle down, I'll have kids, I'll get married, I'll do all of this stuff. And again, that might be great for you, that might be exactly what you want to do. But unfortunately, even if that is exactly what you want to do, this is not as accessible as it used to be to your parents and grandparents. So let's look at income. Let's look at income tax in general in the UK. So anyone earning above £12,570 a month up to £50,270 a month has to pay over 20% income tax. 40% and above is £50,271 to £125,140. So straight off the bat, a lot of people who are high earning income earners in the UK earning 50,000 plus are giving whatever above that to the government for free. Which again, anything given without your choice, for me, I've always thought of as no, like that should never be the case. And unfortunately, doing this thing, working these jobs, especially with the cost of living, it just doesn't make sense for people. Like, younger people realise that what is the point of me working 20, 30, 40 plus years to even get to that point? And when I get to that point anyway, the government are going to take it 40, 50% off anyway. And then even when I get to that point and when I'm getting older and I look at my future generations, well, the government want to take 40% inheritance tax off me straight away anyway. So what is the point in even preserving this wealth? Because the government, they work against you. I understand there's no massive agenda in the world. A lot of the stuff that revolves in the world revolves around money. And like I say, young people, they're realizing this. Like, there's a lot of studies and statistics and kind of people saying that, well, young people don't want to work anymore and stuff. But you have to look beneath this, above like kind of surface level, just saying that. Well, there's a reason, isn't there? It's not just because people are lazy. I know a lot of people out there may be lazy, but that's definitely not the case for the vast majority of people. People are just becoming a bit smarter and realising, you know what? Getting this job that I don't want to do, earning like £1,500, £2,000 a month just for taxes and everything to be taken off me with the bills, the cost of living, it's barely worth me even being here. Like, what's the point? I may as well maybe go live somewhere else where the cost of living is cheaper, have a better quality of life. People are catching on to these things, and more people are leaving the UK, as we've seen, and I think we will probably see for the next 3-5 years going forward. So what are the main reasons? Well, as I've mentioned, shit wages. In terms of the cost of living in the country, the wages just have not grown really at all over the last 5, 10, 20 years, whereas the cost of living has skyrocketed. If it comes to buying your house, it used to be around 2 times your income, so it was easily accessible for the average person who worked a normal job to buy a house, and then once they paid off the house, they could then live a very comfortable lifestyle. And this, for me and you, like that probably wouldn't be a bad lifestyle, and I think a lot more people would be very content with doing that type of thing, working a job, because they can afford to live, they can have a house, they can have a family, they can do the things that are actually important to us as human beings and what we actually value in our life, because there's not a lot of things that truly make us happy. And if you are able to build strong foundations, get your house, have your family, then you're going to be fairly happy, aren't you? But unfortunately, because of the cost of living of everything, it's now around 8, 9, 10 times your income just to buy a house. And that's just inaccessible to a lot of people. And I know personally a lot of people that I've spoken to say, I just won't be able to ever own a house. And it's not just a case of I'll never be able to, I don't believe financially I'll be able to. People are saying that they just don't really see the benefit, because if you're paying off a mortgage with interest, at the end of the day you're just paying off interest after a certain point, and you're kind of just trapped. And people are realizing, well, hang on a minute, this is a trap. I'm not actually really owning the house, because if I default on these mortgage payments, then the government will probably just end up taking, or the bank will end up taking my house away from me anyway. So it's not really that good, because everything I'm paying, I'm just losing. Everything I'm earning, I'm just losing straight away. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And as I say, there's a lot of other reasons. The internet, we are seeing the rise of content creators like myself, people posting on internet, and people are realizing a lot of information is out there, and there's a lot of different career paths that you can follow, whether that be on the internet, whether that be in person. There's a lot of different avenues that generations before us never experienced, and this is only going to evolve, and it's going at a very, very fast rate. So this is why when I say like keep up with times, keep up with what's going on, I think it's so important, because a lot of people are getting left behind kind of following that path. It's not going to get you to the levels that your parents and your grandparents did, because like I say, they had a very good life. But if you follow this, as things stand, unless things change a lot, and I'm looking at this very much from a UK perspective, you're not going to live a very comfortable life. You're not going to be 50, 60 years old and retired, and your house is all paid off, and you can live kind of happily ever after going on holidays. That's not going to be accessible to you if you follow the path that they did. Let's look at other things. There's more to life than working a 9 to 5. A lot of people are thinking this. There's good and bad that comes with social media, and a lot of people are putting it out there. They're posting kind of their day in the life and stuff, and people are like, hang on a minute, like, this guy is so depressed, he's working for minimum wage, he's working a job, and it's hard. It's very hard for people to kind of look at that and be like, you know what, I really want a piece of that. I really want to work a job I don't want to do for precious little money, when I'm living somewhere where the cost of living is so high, so I can't even have a good life. It's really demoralizing for a lot of young people to kind of live in a society where it seems somewhat hopeless. And I'm very much an optimist myself, and I try and always play on the positives. I've had to do that throughout my life. But as a young person growing up in the UK, I'm 23 years old myself, there's not a lot of reason to truly be optimistic with how the last 5-10 years have gone, and looking forward to the future. And it goes back to, again, I'm not one for massive conspiracies or anything like this, but if you look at the World Health Organization statement of you'll own nothing and be happy, well, this is kind of becoming more and more apparent than ever, isn't it? It's kind of forcing you down to rent forever and ever, and you never actually own a property. You never kind of own anything. Leasing cars, a lot of stuff people don't own, it's on finance, and a lot of people, you don't realize, like, even if you on finance and all of this stuff, at the end of the day, a lot of the time you are just paying off interest over and over again, and that's in the incentive of society, unfortunately. And again, the quicker you realize this stuff, the better, because everything revolves around money. People want to make money. I want to make money. You want to make money. It's how the world works, and if it wasn't for that, society wouldn't function. So the more and more people who kind of wake up against this and kind of revolt against this and stop feeding into the traps of doing what they want you to do, to not own things, to not have kind of financial literacy, which is one, if not the most important bits of knowledge you need to have in your life, then you're really gonna struggle. And that's what people want you to do. They want to prey on your weaknesses. But if you don't have that, if you're like, I see that advert on the TV about this a holiday or whatever it is, I'll go on a holiday. If you're like, no, yeah, I'm alright, I'll work, I'll keep going, I don't need a holiday, I'll keep going. Or you see these adverts for online dating and stuff, dating apps, like, there's this discount on Tinder, Hinge, all of this stuff. Be like, you know what, I'm single, and I'm actually quite happy because I'm working towards my goals every single day. I've got a really good surrounding network with people. I'm really actually happy in what I do in my day-to-day stuff. Yeah, that'd be nice, but I know it's probably not the best thing to do for me right now. That takes a very strong man to do that, and there's not a lot of guys. I know there's not a lot of guys out there, and something that I'll get onto in a minute. there's not a lot of guys, a lot of men are very weak, and this links to OnlyFans. Like, a lot of young women are making millions and millions of pounds a year preying on weak men. And this is obviously, first of all, it's absolutely disgusting, but I understand that, you know, it's a career. People are only able to do this because there's a demand for it, and that is unfortunately young men in particular. Obviously men of older ages too, but particularly young men falling for this and thinking, you know what, maybe I've got a chance with this girl, or maybe I don't even know. I'm not in the minds of those people, but maybe you have been in the past. Hopefully you're not anymore. Hopefully you're at least above that if you've been kind of down. I somewhat know about the kind of OnlyFans stuff and the girls making a lot of money, but it's a different world. Girls out there are like, you know what, I could go work this normal job where I get £1,500 a month, or I could get naked on the internet and make 10, 20, 30,000 pounds a month. And again, a lot of girls, and I hope a lot of people out there would be like, you know what, I have a lot of self-respect, I have my dignity and integrity, and I would never ever do anything like that. But you can completely understand why girls would be like, you know what, I can make 10, 20 times, I can make my salary in a month from doing this thing. And you can see why. And again, the system is just not set up for you to succeed, especially in the right way anymore. And it's a shame. And like I say, there's readily information and more knowledge from people older than you, in books especially, where they can give you the secret sauce that your parents and grandparents didn't have that can completely set your life up. And that starts in here. It starts in your mind. It's a change of a mindset that you need to adapt to not fall for the traps, because again, like I say, there's not a lot of optimism for young people in the UK. It's very difficult to make it, to live a good life, to live a life that's, one, comfortable, two, fulfilling for you. And yeah, it's just not set up for that anymore. People don't want to see you succeed. People from the top, and even people close to you, they don't want to see that. So like I say, there's different ways, especially when it comes to wealth, of kind of breaking free of the system. You have to look at other options, making money on the internet, looking at crypto, looking at stocks, especially in tech and stuff that has AI changed the world over the last 5-10 years. And yeah, you have to kind of forge a different path and really realize that path that made your parents, that made your grandparents somewhat successful and led them to a comfortable life, it's no longer attainable to you because of the system in place. And that's no fault of your own, but hopefully this video has helped you realize this. And if you need any more guidance, maybe on your personal circumstances, on how you can break free, how you can live a different lifestyle, live one that's, you know, true and meaningful to you, where you don't have to do things that you don't want to do, and you're not falling for the traps that I know a lot of people my age, younger and even older are falling for. My one-to-one personal coaching link will be in the description. If you can like and subscribe, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.